Hello and welcome to EBTV's 2020 Township Council Candidate Forum. I'm Alan Brodman, your moderator for the evening. Tonight, we televise this forum from the East Brunswick Town Council chamber. Members of the local press will be asking questions of the candidates running for Township Council. We are pleased to welcome Maureen Berzok, representing East Brunswick TAPinto, and Nick Muscavage from the Home News Tribune. Our candidates representing the Republican Party are Olga Miller and Suzanne Blum. Our candidates representing the Democratic Party are Stanley and Michael Spadafino. We will begin our program with 3-minute opening statements by each candidate. The order of the opening statements was determined by a random drawing earlier this evening. 2-minute closing statements will be given in the reverse order of the opening statements. After opening statements, the reporters will alternate asking questions to both parties. The party's candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the question. The opposing party's candidate will then also have 2 minutes to respond. We will alternate so that both parties have equal opportunity for first response. Let us begin with the opening statements. The first opening statement is by Suzanne Blum.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Suzanne Blum, and I live here in East Brunswick with my husband, Dennis, my daughter, Haley, and my son, Gregory. I was born and raised here, and I'm a proud graduate of East Brunswick High School. I'm running for the Township Council because I have been an active volunteer for many years in numerous community organizations that my family and I have participated in, such as the local Boy Scout troop, Girl Scouts, PTAs, and the East Brunswick Baseball League. I have also been a CCD teacher and a Eucharistic minister at my parish, St. Bartholomew's Church. Serving our township governing body fulfills a sense of civic responsibility that would allow me to give back and ensure that East Brunswick continues to be a place where families choose to live, work, and play and educate their children. An area of major concern is the vitality of the Route 18 and the redevelopment that's set to take place. While I don't support the overdevelopment and the urbanization of our community, especially adding high-density housing along Route 18 corridor, I do support greater commercial development in our town that will bring higher-paying jobs and customers for our local businesses and eateries. Residents have long been calling for high-quality businesses to come to town, and East Brunswick is in a unique position in our state to offer the benefits of a centralized bedroom community. It has easy access to New York and major transportation corridors. Property taxes are a huge concern for East Brunswick residents, and even with the Township of East Brunswick accounting for only a small percentage of the local property tax bill, I feel very strongly that as a member of the council, I would have a fiduciary responsibility to provide the greatest level of services for the lowest possible cost. With that being said, I think there needs to be more outreach and communication on the part of the township and the school board to see where efficiencies can be found to reduce the tax burden on the homeowner. Additionally, more commercial ratables moving to Route 18 means less of a tax burden on our residents. And that's why the redevelopment of Route 18 corridor is very important. Not only will it be more appealing for the people traveling down Route 18, but it will mean a more vibrant retail corridor and less tax dollars coming out of our residents' wallets. Maintaining our infrastructure as well as our public parks is a crucially important issue for all of our residents. Many of our back streets in town are in need of repaving and maintenance, and we need to ensure that we continue to have the funds to sufficiently maintain and upgrade our parks that our families enjoy. I would also be an advocate for additional safety and neighborhood programs, collaborating with the EBPD, and I respectfully ask for your support and vote as you fill out your ballots for this important 2020 election cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne Blum. The next opening statement will be by Olga Miller.
Good evening. My name is Olga Miller, and I am one of the candidates for East Brunswick Town Council this year. I would like to take the time to thank our moderator, Mr. Alan Brodman, members of the press for their questions, and the residents who will be watching this debate for allowing us the time to speak tonight. I am a 6-year resident here in East Brunswick. My husband and I have 2 children, an 8-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy. We chose East Brunswick as the town to raise our family because of its central location to major cities, great school system, close proximity to wonderful parks and recreational areas, and of course, its diverse community. I had previously lived in East Brunswick with my parents on Bradford Road while I attended college. As a child, I learned about and became obsessed with the idea of the American dream, so much so that I strongly encouraged my family to make a life-changing move to the other side of the world. Then, coming to the United States as a first-generation immigrant, I was exposed to the virtues of democratic institutions, where freedom and the rule of law gave my family and me the opportunities to build our own futures. Today, my parents, along with my sister, hold higher education degrees in sciences, and they all currently work in the Garden State. I attended Montclair State University as an undergraduate, where I earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. I am currently pursuing a master's in business administration from Colorado State University. I have worked in New Jersey in the chemical manufacturing industry for the past 12 years, where I hold a global supply chain position. I spend my time developing strategies supporting our warehousing and logistics operations worldwide and ensuring processes are executed and followed by teams. I'm very grateful for the opportunity my company has given me to travel the world and work with many different people of various backgrounds. I believe my strong business background and diverse supply chain experience gives me the ability to solve complex issues when it comes to responsible purchasing and spending. I have always been interested in politics and have considered getting involved for quite some time. I want to shape a positive future for my children and be a role model of what it means to achieve the American dream. As a working mom of 2, I want to see my children grow up in a town that promote family values, community programs, and family-friendly events. As a resident, I want to see East Brunswick be a central destination for families to live, work, and retire now and for future generations to come. Our key priorities include focusing on smart redevelopment, improving quality of life, cutting wasteful spending, thereby keeping property taxes in check, and attracting more small family-friendly businesses to this town. I am running because I love this town, and I love this community. I want to see it succeed. I do not think our current leadership is invested in keeping EB a family-friendly suburban community that we all love and adore. I believe I represent a large group of residents here in our town, and I want to ensure their voices are heard and represented within our governing body. Therefore, I support a 2-party representation of our residents, and if elected, I will encourage members of both parties to find common ground and focus on the well-being of our town.
Thank you. Our next opening statement is by Stanley.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking all those who helped organize this debate. Having lived here for 20 years, my family has enjoyed everything East Brunswick had to offer. I'm blessed to have my children grow up in a very diverse community where they were able to make friends and be exposed to cultures from all over the world. Our public school system is one of the top-rated in New Jersey and climbing. My son has already graduated, and my 2 daughters are in the high school. Apart from my civic duties as a council member, I also volunteer my time as president of my homeowners association and also as the president of East Brunswick Lions Club. Spending time helping others is not new to me. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to represent the residents of East Brunswick for the last 4 years. During my tenure on the council, we have seen East Brunswick grow and change, and we've always been invested in making sure East Brunswick realizes its tremendous potential. And we know that fulfillment of this potential begins with listening to residents. I ran for office in 2016 because I wanted to be able to listen and address those concerns. When we took office in 2017, the residents' top concerns were the township's financial security, the extensive closures of businesses, and the outdated rundown state of Route 18. We have devoted abundant time and effort to addressing those concerns. We've achieved a stable municipal tax rate, less than the rate of inflation over the last 4 years. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic and the accompanying national crisis, Mayor Cohen and the Town Council were vigilant in our oversight of the budget. An independent auditor praised our efforts and lauded us as one of the very few towns in New Jersey to have a healthy reserve, which allowed us to maintain our AA+ Moody's bond rating. Despite these very minimal tax increases, East Brunswick has experienced no loss in the quality of municipal services. In fact, the 2020 municipal budget included the paving of twice as many roads we have paved since last year. Both Councilor Spadafino and I have served on the East Brunswick Reestablished Redevelopment Agency, and due to this administration's efforts, more than 360 new businesses have chosen to open in New Brunswick. The redevelopment of Route 18 has begun, and a developer has been chosen to implement the plans. Moving forward, we will fully anticipate continuing meeting the needs and exceeding the expectations of our residents, pushing our community to be even more vibrant in the years ahead. I humbly ask for your vote this November for Mayor Cohen, Councilman Spadafino, and myself. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the opening statement from Michael Spadafino.
Good evening. I am Councilman Michael Spadafino. For 55 years, East Brunswick has not only been my home, but is in the very fiber of my being. I am an East Brunswick High School graduate. I was a teacher at East Brunswick High School and a coach. I am a local chiropractor and have been in business here for 33 years, and I'm a homeowner. I am personally invested in East Brunswick and its future. I have been councilman for 7 years, representing all residents, serving your interests and concerns. Mayor Cohen, Councilman Stanley, and I had promised to restore financial stability while maintaining many services we now enjoy. I believe that we have delivered on our commitment to the residents of East Brunswick. All my conversations with residents over the past years come up to two topics always: taxes and services. It is our goal to balance these two components by ensuring that our government is fiscally responsible and provides the best services for our town. Over the past 4 years, we have done an outstanding job of achieving a delicate balance by keeping tax increases below 2% each year, less than the rate of inflation, and improving on programs and services in our community. We understand the unique challenges during this pandemic and are prepared to meet them swiftly with transparency. The vision of Mayor Cohen and my fellow council members to revitalize Route 18 corridor will be a positive change for our town, bringing new ratables and businesses to our community. Because our plan has been a dramatic increase in new businesses coming to East Brunswick, over 300 businesses in 4 years. We restructured our engineering department to be more business-friendly, and we are established a new Chamber of Commerce, which is almost 200 members strong. We recognize that you moved to East Brunswick for the outstanding schools, library, and cultural opportunities. Our plan is to protect and improve these into the future. Safety is a high priority with an expanded award-winning police department, with high marks for transparency, many programs for community outreach, and outstanding communication. We take pride in our multiple commissions and committees dedicated to our multicultural and artistic interests. Our recreation department in Crystal Springs have programs suitable for every interest, age, and ability. We value our communication and mutual respect between houses of worship and cultures. I have enjoyed serving East Brunswick in the past, and I look forward to continuing to be of service in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spadafino. We will now begin the questioning from our reporters. Mr. Muscavage, you have the first question to the Republicans.
Hello, thanks for being here tonight. I'm wondering, What's the biggest complaint you've heard from residents in East Brunswick? And, if you were elected, how do you intend to address that?
One of the biggest complaints we hear from residents is taxes. Taxes. They complain that taxes keep increasing. Yes, people move here for the schools, but they end up leaving the town as soon as their kids graduate. We want to prevent that from happening. We want our residents to stay here, to retire here, and continue living here, as well as bringing their families back into town. We have heard many residents plead to the town that it is becoming too expensive to live in, and the residents are feeling increases over year. Not to mention our senior citizens who live on a fixed income, not being considered when certain decisions are being made, leaving them with very little to be attracted to this town. Many residents have voiced their concerns regarding increases in taxes and utility bills, thus pushing East Brunswick further into unaffordable zone. As a member of Town Council, I will focus on serving the residents' concerns and needs while producing results and transparently managing costs. I will work with the members of the administration to ensure the town operates in a fiscally responsible manner with our taxes, and revenue is not spent on wasteful litigations, but directed towards improving quality of life for our residents. I believe as a town, we should focus on further developing commercial real estate in order to attract high-quality, family-friendly businesses to our town, which in turn will create jobs, attract customers, and deliver much-needed commercial tax revenue while alleviating the burden on our residents.
Thank you. Democrats, you may respond.
Of course, financial stability and taxes are the biggest concerns of all our residents. We know that property taxes are a priority to our residents. We're mindful of the fine balance between finances and services provided to residents. The municipal increase of our tax rate over the last 4 years, in fact, the increase has only been less than that of the rate of inflation. While we have maintained and stabilized these tax rates, our services have been consistent. No services have been cut. For example, we have paved 25 miles of roads, the most in any 4-year period of any administration. And we've also painted 13 miles of bike lanes were created. And we have invested in the recreational facilities, which is especially important during this pandemic age, where outdoor recreation is important. Last year, we have upgraded the turf in Heavenly Farms. We've upgraded the tennis courts. We have demolished the skateboard park and created tennis courts and a pickle court there. We've also introduced disc golfing. During the pandemic, we also had drive-in movies. We have done a lot to help the East Brunswick community maintain taxes. We have fought tooth and nail every time with CFO, with our administrators, to make sure that we get the most dollar for our buck. And the services that we get are the best in town so far, and we intend to maintain that in the next 4 years coming as well.
Thank you. Yes, you have 1 minute.
Okay. I would just like to address what he had just mentioned about having the budget and keeping our services exactly, up to par. While he did mention that twice as many roads have been paved, and I think you said 25 miles. Unfortunately, I feel like over past years, the roads in town have been neglected and they hadn't been maintained properly. And I think that's something that we still need to continue to repave and to work to fix that infrastructure, especially when there's so many more people coming into our town with the upcoming redevelopment. So I really think we need to look at having more of our roads repaved and adding to a stronger infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
The interesting thing about the Mrs. Blum's comment is that I got onto the town council in 2013. During those years, between 2013 and 2016, we averaged less than 3 miles of paved road every year. when we finally got to our administration, we made it a priority to do a greater job of increasing the amount of paving that took place. So we are in a catch-up situation where the previous administration had neglected the roads, and so we are actually improving and catching up and advancing, and we intend on our budget, I believe, to have 5 more miles of road next year. And we also have a great patch program, which was not available until we took over the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now up to the next question. Ms. Berzok, you have the question to the Democrats first.
As someone who's interested in governing, what is something you've learned during the pandemic about the role of township administration? During an emergency like this one, what is the role of a member of the town council?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, thanks. Well, I think one of the most important factors is communication. As the role as a elected official, to be have the communications open and deliver the messages to the town. There were daily briefings by Mayor Cohen. He had Facebook updates, Twitter, and Instagram updates, I believe. And every single day, we were giving information out. And being able to communicate also with the state government officials, county government officials, is very, very vital, because there was a lot happening. Like this is something brand new that it just overtook all of us, and we had to learn day by day. And one of the things that we learned was, communication was the key to get answers and give answers. So it was very important that, we lead by example, and we went by what the state mandated. We also, we took swift action. Taking the swift action was one of the key points, because we have the lowest infection rates in the county. East Brunswick has the lowest infection rates in the county because of the swift action we took. Closed down the facilities, basketball courts, closing down the municipal building, yet keeping the employees worked from home, and we were able to minimize the health costs of the township with the spread of the virus. And also getting involved with the community, having a relationship with different houses of worship and different organizations to get food and help needed to those who are infected and sick and who were unable to, who are high risk. We were able to help them get needed groceries and amounts that they needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Republican response.
I'll take it. It's funny because I personally would have liked to have seen more communication from the township, especially from the mayor. I know that he did occasionally put out Facebook talks that he had. And honestly, I would have loved to have heard from our OEM management also in reference to the COVID. I have friends that live in other towns that would be getting daily updates from their mayors. One example is the Woodbridge mayor, and I believe to this day he's still pretty much giving daily briefings. And it's not just on COVID, but it's about local restaurants that might be opening up that particular week, and just giving out local information now that the towns have had to close down because of COVID. And I really would have liked to have heard that. If they're saying that they had daily state, daily county updates, I think that should have been provided to us as township residents. And that's just me, myself. There were plenty of people who also would have liked to have heard that, and a little bit more often from our town council and our mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will go on to the third question. This is from Mr. Muscavage to the Democrats.
Yes, Councilman, you mentioned police transparency in your opening statement. I asked the mayoral candidates the similar question in the last debate. A recent Attorney General report found that Middlesex County had the 7th lowest body camera compliance in the state. East Brunswick Police Department does not use body cameras. Do you believe they should? And is that financially feasible? Why or why not?
Straightforward, I definitely believe that body cameras are an integral part of being able to give the evidences of the activities of the police in their actions, and also to be able to document the actions of a perpetrator. At this time, we were not able to budget this, but in light of the Floyd incident, I think it's very obvious that this is an integral part of policing. And I believe that over the next few budgets, and maybe even by an emergency stopgap measure, you will see the body cameras being utilized, especially on on patrol. We use cameras constantly right here on the property and in other areas for protection of the citizens that may be utilizing a particular zone, the drop box area outside for your ballot to be able to be protected. So the obvious answer is yes. And I think that we are moving toward this. Up until this point, I don't think that because of the safety record of our town in general, I don't believe that anybody anticipated that this was something that would be of a high priority, but obviously it is now.
Okay. Republican response.
I happen to disagree to a point with Councilman Spadafino. We don't have a systemic racism problem in East Brunswick. Our officers always act professionally. They do an outstanding job protecting this community. They have gotten involved in various community policing programs. They really do a great job. I think it would be a great question to ask maybe Chief Lasaco how he feels about the cameras. I think surely we can look into it and look at our budget if it allows it. But our police department is well trained, they're professional, and they do not have an issue with systemic racism. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to question number 4. Ms. Berzok, this is a question directed to the Republicans.
This is kind of a similar question. The year 2020 has been a year of change, right? To be kind. The schools have adapted to serve students in a completely new way during the COVID-19 pandemic. Social unrest across America has caused us also to reevaluate how the police department reaches out to the community to support diversity. What do you think the East Brunswick Police Department should do to make people feel a part of safety and make them feel safe and connected to the township?
I'll take that. I always remember growing up in East Brunswick in our court, and we had Irma Shagnon, who lived next door, and she would always put together the day where the police would come out, I guess our Community Police Day, and that was when it was held a little bit differently. I would love to go back to the way that they held it then. Instead of having the day where we all gather around the municipal area here and bring the public to meet the police here. I'd love to have the police department go back out into the different neighborhoods, because we are, as you said, like so diverse, our town, and go have smaller days where they can go and reach out to the different neighborhoods and the people in town. They would bring out their police vehicles, they would bring the canine dogs out to meet the people, and the different neighborhoods would have like a little block party set up. And I just always thought it was a wonderful day to have the kids come out in the neighborhood, have the different neighbors come out and meet each other. And that's a great even way to start a neighborhood watch too, when you get the people to all come out and join each other. So I would love to make a change in the way we run that particular day of having, the community meet the people, the police. I'd love to send the police back out into the communities in smaller groups. Thank you.
Thank you. Democratic response.
We have a very strong emphasis on community policing. Community policing is already being done, and has been augmenting it for years prior to any national tragedies that have been taking place. In fact, the number has increased in the number of officers in the community policing department from 2 to 5. And they have been interacting with the community and breaking down any type of adversarial relationships. We brought in a new chief of police last year who is East Brunswick grown and who believes strongly in community policing. Police are part of our community, interacting with the residents, houses of worship, students, Human Relations Council, and we're going to continue promoting this relationship. Chief Lasaka is very, very strong on having a great relationship with all the different organizations and the houses of worship. He's made it upon himself to do this from the time he took over as chief. The Human Relations Council's already had 2 community hall meetings with Chief of Police and Mayor Cohen after the George Floyd tragedy. We're proud of the diversity of our police force, and we're proud of the diversity training that takes place. There are no plans for reducing our financial commitment to the police. They have the Narcon trainings, they have the Coffee with the Cops, and they have the Blue Delivery Program, which they took upon themselves to deliver food to the seniors and others during the initial months of the pandemic. And we have great emergency services for the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to the next question. This is from Mr. Muscavage to the Republicans.
Marijuana is going to be on the ballot in November. Some towns in the surrounding area, Old Bridge and Bridgewater, already passed ordinances that would ban any sales of marijuana in their towns. It can be seen as a valuable thing, bringing taxpayer money that could be funding schools and roads and services that you guys mentioned. Are you in favor of recreational marijuana? And are you in favor of, if anybody wants to open a dispensary in East Brunswick, is that something that you'd be open to if you're on the council?
So I have to say this. I don't know that I would be for the recreational marijuana, but I do know that following the social media over the last few years, that many of our residents are still concerned about the number of the vape shops that have popped up the last few years throughout our town. A lot of concern about that. And I think their concern added to it now that we're seeing the progress of a legalization of marijuana coming to fruition, that their concern is that those vape shops are now going to turn into local dispensaries. So I think that's something that we really need to take a look at because of, the makeup of our town. It's East Brunswick, and we want to keep it a family place. So I think it's something that we really need to take into a strong consideration as a council when we make that decision, whether we're going to pass that ordinance, of whether we're going to allow recreational in town or not.
Thank you. Democratic response.
I believe it was 2 years ago, not exactly sure, but the issue was brought up about marijuana as it was becoming more popular and recognized in several states. What we decided to do was be proactive by designated only certain areas in town for even dispensaries of medical marijuana, so that as it moved forward, these areas that are vape shops, et cetera, couldn't feel that they could automatically transition even into medical marijuana. I believe that we will make sure that if this referendum were to pass, that it would be very strictly designated as to where these dispensaries may be allowed in town. That's for obvious reasons related to schools and other situations where it might be not in the best interest. The problem is that you can't stop something that, if it does pass by referendum, you can't really stop it from being sold. And so all you can do is control as best you can where it will be allowed and available. This is a matter that's going to be up to the public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are now up to a question from Ms. Berzok, directed to the Democrats.
It's a more personal kind of question. What would you do to lead change in East Brunswick? What's an area you think really needs to be addressed for the township to move forward in a way that supports values that you hold are very close and important to you?
Personally, family is very important to me. Family, friends, relationships. And I think one of the biggest things missing in the world today is our interaction and with our neighbors. A lot of times we are not able to even know who our neighbors are. We might see them every day, but we don't know who they are or what they are. And I feel one of the greatest things that would bring a community together is building the community relationships. The diversity that East Brunswick offers is phenomenal. We have, every time I go to Hammersholt, I look at the plaque that's written there. It's written, in this school we speak more than 100 languages. And every time I read that, it hits me that we have such a diverse population. And what is, I think one of the biggest things that we can do is like have more events like the one we have with East Brunswick Day in September, where everybody comes together and we're able to communicate with each other. And also we have so many diverse groups within East Brunswick, and we should promote them for their cultures, for everything that's happening. The library hosts so many programs, cultural programs, within East Brunswick, and that's a great source. I think the library is one of the jewels of East Brunswick. People from all over the county come over to East Brunswick because of the services offered from the library, and that would be a great meeting point. In fact, we just approved a grant for them that the state that they applied for to help them get funding to expand the library services and the building. So I think that, getting people together and bringing them together, I think that would be a great accomplishment personally for me.
Thank you. Republican response.
Could you, I wanted her to repeat the question. She's so sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just go. You can have a chance later, but I'm actually going to agree with Sterley on this because, and if you want to, after this whole COVID thing is over with, if you want to work together on this, I would love to work together to do a cultural heritage day in town. And it is just amazing when we do an event like that, what we can learn about our neighbors. And I honestly think that that would solve a lot of our issues in town. Because if you don't know about the other people's cultures and their beliefs and the way they dress, simply the way they dress, the foods they eat, you don't know about your neighbor. And when you can share in those things and understand about, like he said, there's so many different cultures and the languages that we share in this amazing town, you're not going to learn anything. And I would love to expand on that and bring something like that, whether it's a day or a weekend event, to have the people come out. We were just at the Coptic Carnival at St. Stephen's recently, last weekend in East Brunswick. And that's something I've been doing for the past probably 30 years since they started out in South River at Corpus Christi, before they even had a church. And just to learn about those people who, over the last 30 years, have been moving to our town is an amazing thing. And you're able to welcome those neighbors and understand them, too. So that's something I'd love to do, and I agree with him on that.
Again, I'd like to reiterate that what Mrs. Blum says is very true and very positive. We have a lot of things in town already, and I think that we can expand on them. Our EB Day brings in all the cultural groups to display and talk to the neighborhood about what they do, what they are, and what their beliefs are, along with all the other activities in town. And also then on the stage is always performing different groups, some of them very cultural, and also on the inside. It's really an amazing thing that we have this. I think a Cultural Heritage Day would be a nice addition, but we are doing a great job. Almost 1,500 people showed up for EB Day the last time we could have it, just to get to know what is available in town and about the cultures. I learned a lot. Every time I go, I learn a lot about the different churches and organizations. It's a great thing, and yeah, That's what's great about East Brunswick.
Thank you. Anything further?
I could add, sure.
You have a minute.
For me, yes, East Brunswick is a family-friendly community. I'm a mom of 2 kids. They're young. I want to see, of course, community programs continue. Work, if elected, of course, the town council person, I would get involved with these programs to ensure that we bring the residents out of their homes, so neighbor meets the neighbor. But another issue for me is maybe not even more an issue, but to look at our parks and recreational services. I know our opponents have mentioned maintaining them, but I would like to take a look further at what we can do to improve our playgrounds, our outdoor open spaces for our children. I'm personally vested in it. I take my kids outside a lot, especially since we've been locked in since March. So I think it's important for a lot of families, thousands of kids in this town who would benefit from more safe, secure places outside.
Thank you. Mr. Muscavage, your question is now for the Republicans first.
The Republican candidate for mayor, Mr. Amin, said he would want to renegotiate the state-mandated affordable housing. And you guys mentioned, or at least Ms. Miller mentioned that, you want to avoid litigation to cut back on some costs. What's your view on affordable housing, and are you in favor of that for East Brunswick? I know it's a state mandate, and if you're not, how do you propose trying to renegotiate that without going to courts, which would, spend more legal fees of taxpayer dollars?
Look, COA was agreed to by the previous administration. We all know that. Yes, no one's going to say I'm against affordable housing. I'm not against affordable housing. But let's do it in a smart way. Let's ensure that our infrastructure is ready to bring in these developments. Let's make sure our schools are not at capacity and can handle more children. We know that this area, especially the Route 18 redevelopment area, is in need of major revitalization. It's an eyesore for the residents. But we've been presented with one option basically only, and it's aimed to further urbanize our town. I think there could be a possibility to renegotiate with a developer as to the types of developments that are going up there, expressing our health and safety concerns for the residents, knowing that high-density housing sometimes could lead to increased spread of infection through the community. We obviously want to protect our residents, as well as looking at the Kensington apartments behind the Walmart, which is the Golden Triangle example. The mixed-use apartments don't seem to be in high demand. Those are still not occupied. They've been open for a while. So let's do what we can to work smart when it comes to this redevelopment. And yes, we're for affordable housing, but our town needs to be ready in order to bring in this affordable housing and any type of housing into the town currently.
Thank you. Democratic response.
When we designated these areas as areas of needed redevelopment, we saw an opportunity to meet a state mandate of 350 affordable housing units into East Brunswick within a certain time frame. This put a lot of pressure on the present administration and even the prior administration to try to figure out the best way to do this. We saw that these areas, Lowman Plaza and the Whiz Gap area, were areas that were totally unutilized and were actually a tax drain on the town. We weren't making money on them, and they were getting tax breaks for not doing anything about it. The problem is that we faced it head on. The thing that we did, Mayor Cohen had several meetings with the town, open forums, where people were able to come in and said, we are going to have to put this in. What would you like to see in this zone? And there were hundreds of responses. And we were able to negotiate with these developers, and we are negotiating with these developers to implement those things that they want in that zone. There was a tremendous amount we were able to discuss possibilities for recreational use. towns for being able to have entertainment zones, being able to possibly even put in a swimming pool. We've had, at the Wonder Bread Factory, we were able to negotiate 7.5 acres, which will be utilized for the town to decide recreational property. We were looking into putting an ice skating rink into that zone. We are also looking to be able to have the kind of shops and stuff that people are asking for. So we are looking to maximize the benefits of something that is absolutely necessary and has to be done. And besides, developing that part of town is not going to change the timber of what the rest of East Brunswick is like.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Berzok, you have a question to the Democrats.
The public schools are the gem of East Brunswick, among many other great programs. They've currently been running on a hybrid schedule. There's been some, recent concerns, but self-reporting by students and staff has led to an efficient running of the program. How would you support the East Brunswick Public Schools as they transition during this time when we may have another COVID surge to bring more students back into the schools or create the safest possible environment?
You want to take that? No. Okay. We have a very good school board and also a superintendent who is, his foresight into what's happening is really good, and he's come up with really good plans. And personally, my children are doing the hybrid. They want to go to school, they want to interact, and I think it's a personal choice. When this whole debate was going on during the summer, it was a personal choice for the parents and the children to decide who, whether they should go or not. And I think, as such, as a parent, I supported my children to go. I said, it's your decision whether you want to go or not. And so it's basically a personal decision for each family to make. And I think as a township, we also need to support the school system and what they're trying to achieve, to bring back some sort of normalcy to all this craziness that's gone on since March, late February, early March. If you remember, we were all locked down for almost 90 days, sitting in our homes. So the vision of trying to bring some sort of normalcy back into a child's life, not to rob them of people not being able to graduate, not being able to have their senior year, to bring that back, we need to support that. And I think we need to support as much as we can based on what's happening around us. And if things really go from better to worse, then we got to reevaluate. But at this moment, I think we should do all we can do right now to support our children and support the families who do want to have some sort of normalcy back in their life.
Thank you. Republican response.
Likewise for me, my daughter is 8 years old. She goes to 4th grade. She's also doing the hybrid schedule. We're very happy with it. She's very happy. We sat down and talked about it prior to the school when that choice was posted. I have to say, I'm not just going to disagree with Council President Stanley for saying we have an amazing Board of Education as well as an amazing superintendent. Dr. Verleski has done an outstanding job listening to the parents, listening to the teachers and staff and their concerns, and being able to, frankly, open the schools in a hybrid manner, being the only town in Middlesex County who was able to do that. And I'm so proud to live in East Brunswick and have such a strong school community and to have parents who have voiced their concerns. And we have amazing teachers. I have to say, my daughter goes in and comes home so happy that she's able to interact with them face to face and get that really school day experience, even though people say it's not normal. For her, it's better than looking at the computer all day. And it works for our family, and I'm glad other families in this town were given the choice. Thank you.
Yes, you have 1 minute.
For 30 years, I've been on the sideline at every football game. because of my history with the town. I cannot tell you how overjoyed I was last Friday night to be able to once again attend an East Brunswick football game. And also the joy of seeing the marching band be able to take the field and display their work and their tough efforts that they always do a great job. That was really wonderful. East Brunswick is one of the teams like Piscataway, all their senior athletes are never going to get the opportunity to play this year. And so I am very proud of our stand and our take on this. Because of our actions, though, I also want to make note of something that was announced just yesterday, that East Brunswick, because of our cooperation with the state and opening in a hybrid manner, has been chosen to give saliva COVID testing to be implemented in the East Brunswick schools that were arranged by the mayor through the governor and with the Air Force Academy. This will be testing 15% of the population on a regular basis to determine what is safe and if and when we may have to change or can open up further.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. That finishes our questioning. We will conclude the forum this evening with closing statements from each of the candidates. The order will be in reverse of our opening statements. So the first speaker is Michael Spadafino.
Throughout my life, I have been appointed to or elected to many positions of leadership because people trust me to listen to all sides and base my decisions on solutions that would maximize the benefit for everyone. I have carried through with the same principles for you, the East Brunswick residents. My years of experience in municipal government has given me the tools to deal with the challenges we face in a proactive, not reactive way. I have served the East Brunswick Township as council president, 25 years on the Health Advisory Council, Planning Board, Recreation Committee, Redevelopment Committee, Cable TV Committee, Museum Committee, Water Policy Board, and even many others. I have run a successful chiropractic practice for 33 years here in East Brunswick. My wife, Kathy, taught choral music in East Brunswick for 34 years, still conducts our community chorus, is president of the Arts Commission, and is several other committees. We are both believe in serving our community. When I was a young man, my father said, walk a mile in someone else's shoes so you know where they are coming from. This has served me well. All who know me say I'm a good listener and empathetic by nature. My long history as a resident and business owner in East Brunswick has given me the confidence to continue to serve you in our town. My leadership in the re-establishment of the East Brunswick Chamber of Commerce will help businesses grow and expand with the town. Our Shop East Brunswick program allows residents to participate in lowering their individual taxes while supporting local businesses. I am thankful for the opportunity to serve for the last 7 years, and I hope that I have your support to continue for 4 more years, along with Councilman Stanley and Mayor Brad Cohen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Stanley.
Thank you all for making this night possible. It has been a pleasure working on behalf of all the residents. I humbly ask for your vote tonight based on the merits of our accomplishment since taking office in 2017. We have renovated our parks and recreation areas, improving our quality of life, stabilizing our tax rate with a minimal increase over the last 4 years while maintaining our excellent bond rating. We have worked with the EB Police Department to help grow community building programs. We have attracted over 300 new businesses with the hiring of a business development officer and creating the Chamber of Commerce. The real estate market is booming again in East Brunswick. We created shared service agreements with our neighboring towns and our school. Our services and programs for the senior citizens have been enhanced with the hiring of a new director for the Department of Aging. We've been filling in all the open vacancies in our boards and commissions with the residents that represent the diverse population of our town. We have tirelessly worked, responding to all the residents' concerns and finding solutions to their issues. I would like to continue working for the residents for another 4 years. We plan to maintain and extend the financial progress we've made in East Brunswick by keeping taxes stable while never compromising the excellent services we provide. Preserve our excellent bond rating and focus on attracting businesses large and small. My extensive financial background means that I am very comfortable analyzing the complexities of our municipal budget and making sure we get the absolute most for our tax dollars. Mayor Cohen, Councilor Spadafino, and I are united in our deep belief in East Brunswick's boundless potential. We're also united in our commitment to an ambitious vision for the East Brunswick future. Please make sure to mail in all your ballots. I ask you to help us continue the work we started by voting for Mayor Cohen, Councilor Spadafino, and myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Olga Miller.
First, I would like to take the time to thank our moderator again. I think you've been wonderful. Members of the press, of course, and the residents for watching the debate when you do watch it. There are many issues going on in the town right now. One of them is redevelopment, and we want the residents to be aware of what is going on at the Route 18 corridor. And the way the redevelopment has been going has been a total disgrace and mismanagement of the whole project. We have spoken to one of the property owners who's stuck in the middle of the redevelopment zone, and he is absolutely not happy with the town. He wants nothing to do with us. He doesn't want to do business with us, and that is the kind of reputation we have right now. The current administration has selected a developer that is nowhere to be found. He's supposed to be under contract with all of these properties, and he is not. Unlike my opponents, I am neither an experienced politician nor a career politician. I am a wife, mother, and a resident who cares about the future of this town. When I look at East Brunswick and its rich history and landscapes, I see a close-knit community with great schools, many open spaces, recreational areas, and family-friendly businesses. Some of the reasons people move here include highly rated schools, safety, and location. If we continue on the path of overdevelopment, we risk losing two of those reasons, and with decreased school performance and safety come lower property values. Is that what you want, East Brunswick? This town cannot afford to be turned into a city-like destination. 2020 has been a challenging year so far, and with quarantine behind us, now is the time for East Brunswick to emerge as a stronger, closer community. This November 3rd, vote Jay Sullivan for mayor, and myself and Suzanne Blum for town council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Suzanne Blum.
Hi. In closing, I would like to thank EBTV and the press all for coming out this evening to discuss the important issues that the town is facing. I would also love to thank my husband, Dennis, and my two children for all of their support over the last few months. This town offers a great sense of community, an opportunity, and a wonderful quality of life. It is my desire to give back to that community and serve on the Township Council. Taxes need to remain stabilized so that the seniors and the young families can remain in our town. And we need to continue bringing businesses into town that not only bring jobs, but improve our tax base. And lastly, I would like to seek the continuation of our family and our senior-based programs. I ask for your support, and please vote line B as you fill out your ballots so that together we can continue to make East Brunswick a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all that we have time for this evening. Thank you to the candidates, reporters, I should say, for participating on EBTV's Township Council Candidates Forum. This will be rerun on EBTV until the election and available on demand. Just go to www.ebtv.org under 2020 election programming. Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Provisional ballots or vote by mail ballots only. The Middlesex County Clerk's Office will be sending to all registered voters a vote by mail ballot and an informational card indicating where you can vote in person via provisional ballots. You can also check the township website under Township Clerk, Election Information for more information, or call 732-390-6850. As an individual who grew up in this town, but also, I guess arguably more importantly, has taught in this town for 28 years in basically a civics education program on the Constitution, there is nothing more vital for citizens in a democracy to do than to go and vote. The fact this allows us, we the people, to be in charge of our government. So I ask that each and every one of you who are observing this, and all of your friends, please take the time to vote. I'm Alan Brodman, and thank you for watching.